we are going to talk about criticism. We are going to talk about those sharp, stinging words that sometimes come our way, whether they come from a boss, a family member, an anonymous commenter online, or even a friend. We have all felt that sudden drop in our stomach when someone tells us we are not doing good enough, or that we are wrong, or that we have failed in some capacity. It is a universal human experience, yet it feels intensely lonely when it happens. But what if I told you that those exact words, the ones that feel like they are tearing you down, could actually be the raw material for building your strongest self? What if the critics are actually handing you fuel, and they do not even know it? Let us begin by exploring the invisible wound and why criticism stings so hard in the first place. Have you ever wondered why a single negative comment can ruin an entire day, even if you received 10 compliments that same morning? You could be walking on air, feeling proud of a project you just finished, and then one person points out a flaw, and suddenly the joy evaporates. It feels physical, does it not? Your chest might tighten, your face might flush with heat, or you might feel a sudden wave of exhaustion. This is not because you are overly sensitive or weak. This is biology. This is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do over thousands of years of evolution. To understand this, we have to look back at our ancestors. For early humans, survival was entirely dependent on the tribe. If you were criticized or rejected by your group, it was not just an emotional inconvenience. It was a life or death threat. Being cast out meant facing the elements and predators alone. So our brains evolved to treat social rejection and criticism with the same severity as a physical threat. When someone critiques your work or your character today, your amygdala, the ancient alarm system in your brain, lights up. It screams danger, just as loud as if you were being chased by a lion. That is why it hurts so much. That is why it feels like an attack on your very survival. Understanding this mechanism is the first step to healing. When that sting hits you, I want you to pause and tell yourself, I am safe. This is just my biology trying to protect me. I am not in danger. By acknowledging the evolutionary root of the pain, you take away some of its power. You realize that the intensity of your reaction is a false alarm from a bygone era, not an accurate reflection of your reality today. However, we must also distinguish between the types of negativity we encounter. Not all criticism is created equal. There is a vast ocean of difference between constructive feedback and purely destructive negativity. Constructive feedback, even when it is poorly delivered, usually contains a desire to see you improve. It is specific. It addresses behavior or output, not your identity. Destructive negativity, on the other hand, is vague, personal, and often projected. It attacks who you are rather than what you did. Recognizing the difference is vital because it determines how we process the incoming data. But regardless of the source, the initial emotional impact is often the same, and that is where our work begins. This brings us to our second phase, becoming the alchemist. In ancient times, alchemists sought to turn base metals like lead into gold. In our lives, we are learning to turn the leaden weight of criticism into the gold of wisdom and confidence. This requires a shift in perspective, a reframing of the attack. The most powerful tool for an alchemist of the mind is detachment. When criticism lands, our instinct is to merge with it. If someone says, "You are lazy," we immediately wonder, "Am I lazy?" And we feel the shame of it. Detachment means stepping back and viewing the words as an object separate from yourself. Imagine the criticism is a letter delivered to your doorstep. You can pick it up, look at the envelope, read the contents, and decide whether to file it away or throw it in the trash. You do not have to become the letter. Once you have created that space, you can use the grain of truth technique. This is a difficult but incredibly rewarding exercise. Even in the harshest, most unkind delivery, there is sometimes, not always, but sometimes, a tiny grain of truth. Perhaps someone yelled at you for being late. The yelling was unnecessary and hurtful, and that is on them. But the grain of truth might be that you have been struggling with time management lately. An alchemist strips away the toxicity of the delivery, the yelling, the insults, the tone, and looks purely for the data. Is there 1% of this message that I can use to make myself better? If the answer is yes, you take that 1%, you polish it, you learn from it, and you discard the rest. You leave the 99% of toxicity with the person who gave it to you. That is their burden, not yours. If you look closely and find there is 0% truth, if it is purely projection or jealousy, then you have the data you need to dismiss it completely. You are not dismissing it out of defensiveness. You are dismissing it out of analysis. This shifts you from a victim of words to a researcher of your own life. Now, let us move deeper into the process. Let us enter the confidence crucible. A crucible is a vessel in which substances are subjected to high heat to be purified or transformed. In the same way, navigating criticism is how we forge inner steel. It is easy to feel confident when everyone is praising you. That is fragile confidence. It is like a sandcastle. It looks beautiful, but the first wave of negativity washes it away. True, unshakable confidence is built when you stand in the fire of criticism and do not burn. Strategies for this involve a delicate balance of toughness and tenderness. We need the toughness to hold our boundaries, but we need the tenderness of self-compassion to keep our hearts open. Self-compassion is not about pitying yourself. It is about treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a dear friend who was just criticized. Imagine your best friend comes to you in tears because someone insulted their work? Would you tell them, "Yeah, they are right. You really messed up"? No, you would say, "I know that hurts. You worked hard. Let us look at this objectively." You need to be that voice for yourself. When the external world is harsh, your internal world must be a sanctuary. You cannot control what others say, but you have absolute control over how you speak to yourself in the aftermath. Boundaries are also a crucial part of this crucible. You do not owe everyone your ear. You do not owe everyone your emotional energy. There is a powerful quote that says, "Do not take criticism from someone you would not go to for advice." If you respect someone's judgment and character, their feedback is valuable, even if it stings. If you do not respect their path or their values, their criticism is merely noise. It is essential to curate your cabinet of advisors. Choose 3 or 4 people whose opinions truly matter to you. When the world throws stones, look to your cabinet. If they say you are on the right track, the rest of the noise can be tuned out. We have spoken about defense, about handling the criticism that comes at us. But now, let us talk about going beyond the sting. Let us talk about proactive confidence building. This is where we flip the script entirely. Instead of waiting for criticism to ambush us, we actively seek it out, but on our own terms. This sounds terrifying, I know. Why would you ask for the very thing that hurts? Because when you ask for feedback, you remain in the driver's seat. You are signaling to your brain that you are not under attack. You are in a growth phase. This might look like asking a trusted colleague, "What is one thing I could have done better in that presentation?" By framing it specifically, you are guiding the feedback to be constructive. You are preparing yourself to hear it. This desensitizes you to the feeling of being corrected. It turns being wrong from a catastrophic failure into a routine part of learning. The more you normalize the process of correction, the less power unsolicited criticism has over you. You build an immunity. This practice helps cultivate an internal locus of validation. Most of us operate with an external locus. We feel good only when others tell us we are good. We feel worthy only when the applause is loud. That is a roller coaster way to live. Developing an internal locus means you set your own standards. You decide what good looks like. You assess your own performance before anyone else does. A great daily practice for this is the evening review. Before you go to sleep, take a journal and write down 3 things you did well and 1 thing you learned. Note that I did not say 1 thing you failed at. I said 1 thing you learned. By doing this, you are training your brain to validate yourself. You are acknowledging your own wins so you do not starve for compliments. And you are framing your mistakes as lessons so you do not crumble under critique. When you know who you are and what you are worth, the words of others become merely opinions, not verdicts. We are reaching the final part of our journey today, your unstoppable self. Thriving in a critical world does not mean you will never feel hurt again. It does not mean you become a robot with a heart of stone. It means you become fluid. You become like water, soft enough to flow, but powerful enough to carve through rock over time. Think about the public figures you admire. Every single one of them has faced criticism. In fact, the more successful you become, the more criticism you will attract. It is a law of nature. If you are standing still, no one notices. If you are moving forward, you create friction. Criticism is simply the sound of friction. It is proof that you are moving. It is proof that you are doing something that matters enough to provoke a reaction. There is a beautiful story about a sculptor who was chipping away at a massive block of marble. A bystander criticized him, saying he was making too much dust and noise. The sculptor smiled and kept working. He knew that the dust was necessary to reveal the masterpiece hidden inside the stone. You are the sculptor of your own life. The critics are just people complaining about the dust. Do not stop chipping away. Do not put down your chisel just because someone else does not understand your vision yet. As you go forward from this moment, I want you to carry this truth with you. Your value is innate. It was there when you were born. It is there now, and it will be there forever. No amount of praise can increase it, and no amount of criticism can diminish it. It is a constant. The journey we are on is simply the process of realizing that value and bringing it into the world. So the next time someone offers you a sharp word, take a deep breath. Remember your biology. Activate your inner alchemist. Sift for the gold, discard the dirt, and use it to forge your inner steel. Thank the critic, silently, for the fuel. They thought they were stopping you, but they just reminded you of how strong you really are. I want to encourage you to share your own stories. We are a community here at Happy Aura. Have you ever turned a harsh comment into a motivation for success? How do you handle the fear of judgment? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might be the exact medicine someone else needs to read today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for doing this deep, important work on yourself. You are worthy, you are capable, and you are growing every single day. Until next time, keep shining your light and do not let anyone dim your happy aura. Bye for now.